welcome to the YFP Wintrer Classic. My name is Vincent, joined by Mick, and boy, are we ready to play some Valorant. I'm excited to be here, Mick. How are you?
Man, come on. I'm as equally ecstatic. We can't go ahead and deny the fact that we are absolutely stoked to be here. Amazing teams in our lineups, amazing just plays overall that we're going to have coming up here soon. I mean, obviously knowing who we're dealing with, we can't really get overzealous just yet, but even then, just the opportunity enough as this help, it's just getting me going for the day.
Yeah, I mean, and what a fantastic place to start here. Our first matchup of the day going to be TSM going up against ZR Marksman Silver. But before we get down in the weeds, I do want to talk just a little bit about some of the sponsors that have made this entire thing possible. The first of which is Juke.gg. Juke's a brand new esports social media platform. If you haven't heard of it, you can post, comment, or reply to news, matches, and other users as well as you would on any other social media platform. You can shoot a follow over to your favorite teams, maybe games, or even your friends that you want to keep in touch with, as well as getting push notifications and the like. There's an exclamation point Juked in chat for a direct link on how you can get started with that, so make sure that you don't miss out on Juke.gg.
Another thing also is that we got ourselves a production crew here from the likes of GLG Gaming, who is also going ahead running plenty of other productions and weekly tournaments as well on, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays. You can name another day of a week. We're going to find a production for it. We're going to find a game for it as well, so we can get you on screen and get a little bit more lobbies run up for you. But speaking of lobbies, we also have ourselves Team Syndicate, who is also an esports organization who runs open leagues all the time for anywhere from amateur to professional players. So they're always looking to get their name into the ring a little bit more so and provide you as much of this professional experience as possible, while still going ahead and giving you that kind of grassroots feel. But we've mentioned professional enough this time around. We talked about professional companies, professional players, professional people, and this, that, and the other. But we have some professional games here to go ahead and commentate over today, and I cannot wait to even get ourselves in this matchup.
Yeah, listen, TSM, they need no introduction, do they?
No, they don't.
We know who they are. We know what they're about. And, well, we know they've been struggling just a little bit. We were beaming on them just a minute ago before we went live, Mick. But talk to me about ZR Marksman Silver. Because I think most viewers who are coming in here, they're not going to know as much about this ZMM team. And we're just about ready to get in. So what should we be looking out for ZR Marksman?
Honestly, I think ZR Marksman has themselves a pretty good run in here. They don't really have too much, I would say, experience, especially compared to the likes of TSM, at least in this matchup. They're a fairly new team, at least in the composition that we're talking about in this roster specifically. But, I mean, overall, they sat there and they've had themselves some pretty good runs. And, I mean, everything considered, they've had themselves some, I'd say, very iffy lineups and matchups. But even then, it all comes down to how they can be reactionary to the likes of TSM, how they can go ahead and make themselves stand out. And, I mean, going ahead and looking at TSM here recently, obviously, with a new player here kind of in the mix, you have Aleko kind of coming in now, and Rossi also is trying to still feel his way through this roster. I mean, he's had an outstanding job thus far as soon as he's been in, but I mean, these controller players have really been, I want to say, the big anchor that TSM's needed, and I think they're going to have to harbor down on that today.
Yeah, though I will say, like you said, the experience for this ZMM roster, not really there. The one player I think that you need to look at, though, who does have that experience is going to be Hyun, who is at the bottom left of your screen. Penguin sledding, all-around savant. He's been all around the tier 2 scene. Not really found a home, unfortunately. But I definitely think that if he is able to get rolling, there's possibility that ZMM could have some sort of impact in this game. But the realistic read, I think, is that TSM going to take this pretty easily as we get started here on Bind. And I like that Rossi's pulled out the breach. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I completely agree as well. I really like that play. I mean, even in the initiators, still the kind of influence that goes on TSM here. I mean, just time in, time out, you can tell that they're an overwhelming team. Once they go ahead and find themselves getting some momentum rolling, I feel like they're a very emotionally driven team. And once they find themselves getting on top, they just look outstanding, unstoppable. But once they go ahead and finally have those questionable plays, when they have a round or two where that really just don't go their way, they go ahead and look to get a little bit more scratchy to make themselves relevant in the lineup once again. But if we're talking about lineups, we got to see what we're already dealing with here off the get-go. And even then, you're trying to find as much intel as possible. And a great little drone here from Waffle to grab a little beak towards that outside longer B, but also sit there and get a little bit of shower speak as well.
And by the way, we haven't seen TSM run this breach composition. I'll come back to that. It's got Glorify on the flank, Headhunter in hand, and he's certainly hunted a singular head. It is going to be Aleko, though, for the trade, and Plaza ready and waiting. It's the dink and the secondary follow-up as well. So big advantage for ZMM Silver as TSM do get the plant down here on the site.
Yes, so some great exchanges here already. You have TSM already going ahead and get themselves a spike down. Problem is they only have 2 players alive, and he's definitely making some more work of them. You said to keep your eye on the man, and I'm definitely doing it as he's just slaying out so far, but Rossi being the last man standing, having to also defuse that spike as well, or at least keep it down, excuse me. Having to protect it out, knowing that 2 players are going to be swinging around here in U-Haul. They're going to make sure to make quick work of him, grab themselves a defuse as well, and grab this first round at least here in this map.
Yeah, so back to what I was saying, compositionally here at TSM, they're swapping things up just a little bit, and I mean, Bind hasn't been a map they're terrible on. They've, you know, won it a couple times out of the last 5 times they've played it, but it hasn't been perfect either. And I'm liking the kind of playing around with the Breach. Obviously, you don't usually see Breach here in North America. It's a lot more popular over in EU, and I think that we could use some more Breach here in NA. I don't know about you.
I completely agree to some extent because we've seen a lot of breaches come out here more recently. I mean, people have been loving to use him regardless of the map, and even then with everybody choosing Fracture so much, I feel like it's almost kind of becoming somewhat of a tendency of players now to say, we're already going to be playing him a little bit more, let's get used to him. And even then, we see them trying to also integrate to some extent on that Split map. But if we're talking about TSM on Split, we can't really talk about that too much because that's not where they went, and I really can't blame them with the standings they've had so far. Bind being a much more comfortable pick for them, and honestly, I think the reason they're going for this is seeing that, I mean, Zero Marksman kind of somewhat of a new roster. I feel like they know that they have some leniency here and they can go ahead and at least give some tries for something new to give a little bit of a twist up here today.
Well, right now, pretty standard fare for a anti-eco round. ZMM playing it passively though, not wanting to get too far forward. And I mean, you know, when you got the likes of this roster, you know, in the server with you, I do understand. Especially considering we've talked about how a couple of these players for Zero Marksman definitely don't have that even tier 2 experience. They're very much new into this scene. But that being said, TSM grouping themselves up towards the B side. They are going to get tagged, or at least one player going to get tagged with a dart, and that's Rossi, who's elected to fall back. Waddell tries to find something with the headhunter. Going to collect the ult orb for the trouble. But
30 seconds
I don't know if
left.
he's going to actually commit to this. That would be pretty darn aggressive.
Even then, I like the way that Wardale plays with that chamber. We obviously know that this is kind of the only player or the only agent he's going to probably choose all year because he's just loved overall the agent time in and time out. And we've seen him opting for it. But even then, you got to make the plays, and TSM have to find themselves a plant. So Bros with a great first shot here of the round. First blood and make that a second. A third. The man is feeling outstanding so far as he's going ahead. Has a headhunter of his own, and it's that Mage Punk Sheriff in hand. So they already had themselves a post plant. They have a pretty darn good one at that as well. Now making themselves into a 5v2 scenarios. They're just waiting for this spike to go off.
Oh, and I love that. Holding on to the flashpoint and then peeking with it. Sabrosa ready and waiting for the drop down, and Waffle gonna go right to the crosshair, but Sabrosa missing the shot. Troll's good for another frag, so maybe a possibility. Right-clicking Grossi eventually there. 1v3 now for Waffle in time. It's been taking for a hot minute. Waffle has picked up the one. Nice, a headshot on the second. So that's Wardell out of this. Is gonna recover. That Sheriff does take the stun to the face, and it's a thrifty victory there, courtesy of Rossi to clutch up the round. Let's take a look, though, at that 3K once again, Mick. This was dirty.
It most definitely was. I mean, Sabrosa already making an introduction on that side. I mean, I've loved the way he's played Flex. This guy plays Initiator. He plays Controller. He'll play whatever you need him to. But so long as he can get these frags like this and go ahead and open up a site like that, he's playing more like a duelist than a controller right now. But to still have all the smokes in hand is an outstanding way for him to get himself on the board. So even then, as we carry ourselves here into this third round, I mean, things were looking a little bit scratchy there for TSM in that first round and losing that pistol. But, I mean, they made due diligence out of that. Able to find themselves a second, go ahead and turn that econ around. And once again, kind of puts things up in the air. But it really sets them up for a bye here, and they could definitely find themselves a lead if they just keep on working off of it, knowing that Zero's Marksman just really didn't opt to really go ahead and invest some of that money.
No doubt. Something to maybe note here for the Zero Marksman side, they played that so passively. You know, it's usually a good idea to try to get a little bit more aggressive, play together, play for trades in a round like that. But Zero Marksman, I think feeling the pressure. I think that's just a reality when you're up against the likes of TSM. So nonetheless, you are seeing a relatively slow round once again. TSM not really interested in getting a super ultra aggressive here. About a minute gone on this clock, and Torify ready and waiting with the headhunter, going to utilize that rendezvous in order to go back where he came from. So 45 seconds ticks away. No commitment yet. Looks like we might be leaning towards A, Mick.
Yeah, it's actually funny you kind of mentioned that. That's the one thing I really sat there and gathered from TSM over this past couple months. I mean, see that they play themselves very, very slow. They are seriously controlled. They know exactly how to set up the map and find themselves some great angles. Thing is, it takes some time, but once you finally get there, instead of actually initiating on it, he's going to go ahead and find some kills. Plaza's going to back him up as well, so it's going to be even 2-for-2 exchange, but you still got to get that spike down. You have 15 seconds left on the clock, and things are starting to really run a little bit thin for yourself.
Plenty of time, though, to get on that spike plant. The push is forthcoming, and like Lecco going to be utilizing this Viper's Pit, but as he puts it down, pretty much everyone else has fallen for the Zero Marksman side of things. It's Storify all alone. Headhunter in hand, 5 bullets to work with, and trying to maybe just sneak his way in here. But ultimately, I think that's going to be a bit of a difficult task as is, and it certainly looks that way. Rossi with a triple kill. Gonna close things down there. TSM at a second.
And I really like the way they collapsed themselves onto that site, because as I was kind of mentioning prior before we got into that engagement, is that TSM, they know how to control a map. They do an extremely good job of that, and that's why I said that they need to rely on their controllers, because every single time in maps, they love having that double controller setup, whether or not it's a Broza, Rossi, or the likes of, Aleko sometimes on that controller as well. They like to go ahead and play a little bit more versatile, but thing is, once you go ahead and get a little bit more chaos thrown onto the site, once you really start just throwing things down, throwing all your utility out there and kind of confusing them a little bit, they go ahead and find themselves a little bit miscombobulated. So I'm looking for a little bit more synergy here. I'm looking for some more plays, a little bit more contention, and honestly, we're just not seeing it yet, as we already see Plaza and Torify respectively grabbing one each and already setting themselves up for a 3v5.
Been impressed so far with ZMM. I mean, like I said, some passivity that I would have liked to see, maybe something a little different on their secondary round there after winning the pistol, but they get aggressive early. They find those frags, and they're winning some gun duels. That's the first step in order to get yourself into a game. Now at 5v3, needing to convert. Now granted, Ordell setting himself up with the operator and lurking his way in towards the B site. Lecco doing the same here at A, and just a matter of finding the timing. That timing not good enough.
Oh. A great shot there from Torify, and you can already see Wardell trying to set up with this operator. Problem is, he has no rendezvous set up at his feet, so he has no free escape here. He has no kind of backup, and he already gets picked off by Plaza there inside of Hookah. So the follow-up comes through. Zero Marksmen already find themselves a flawless round, and they are looking pretty flawless as is. So go ahead and keep this game tied up, grab themselves a free operator on the likes of Wardell to give that over all handedly and dandily. But, I mean, a great setup here for Zero Marksmen. Once again, as you said earlier, I mean, it all comes down to your shot. Sure, you can get as much util placement as you want. You can make the game as set up as you need to, but if you go ahead and find yourself the right flicks, the right frags, and you go ahead and get a little bit more overzealous, a little bit of attacking on the defensive side goes a long way. And you can even see that they're at a Zero Marks and just make themselves relevant in this lineup so far. And even going ahead and setting up here for a Viper ult out of the likes of Plaza. So I want to see where this goes and how kind of premature it will be.
Got a bit of early utility going forward here in Shower, and there's a fantastic shot. That's what we want to see there from Lecco. Early victory. And this setup we saw in the last round from Lecco going in, it's going to land over there towards the entrance to the lamp position. Buying some time though. Waffle on the site, already one player in lamps. A nice adjustment with 4 health to work with as the aftershock comes through. It's going to be a commitment to the retake. Hunter's Fury committed on the backside of that, denying plant for just a moment, but it doesn't deny any of it. The damage still a little bit there, and in fact Rossi a little vulnerable for the moment, but should survive just as well.
Yeah, it most definitely stalls that time. That's all you're really looking for. But problem is the spike still goes down for like the TSM, and they're just looking to play some defense now. Thing is, Torify is pushing up. You have the Breach ultimate coming out, so this can be a great way for TSM to engage. You can already see Lecco able to find one off of that. The rest of the team try to go ahead and push into that Hookah section as well, knowing that Plaza and Troll's going to be there, at least on our side. You got to sit there and push off of that. You just don't. Instead, you look away. Plaza finds himself too, looking to get around the edge now, and also go ahead and find a pick onto Sabroza with the likes of Waffle in the back end. And that's going to be a great standing for him. Sure, we see Waffle not really having the most health in the rear end of this round, but still, nonetheless, being alive, leaving 3 weapons still in their hand, a pretty good run for economy going forward as well.
Yeah, I gotta give credit as well there. ZMM's retake looked so solid, and I didn't necessarily expect that, but it was also, I think it was Plaza swinging out there, finding a double kill, winning game duels, and finding that success. So despite TSM finding the early advantage in Shower, they still lose the round, and ZMM continue with this this very strong setup that they've had. It's the lead as well, taken back 3-2 the scoreline. And as we can see, TSM's economy is in the bin, in the doldrums. They really can't fully invest, and it's an instant Viper spit for the ZMM Silver side of thing. That's Plaza going to put it down and deny entry of a short for the time being.
Yeah, you already mentioned, that whole push right there out of Plaza, that double kill. I think if Rossi just swung there on his concuss, that probably would have made a little bit more influence across the map and get a little bit more pressure. But if we're talking about pressure, I mean, we got TSM with their backs up against the walls, already trying to find themselves to push up through A main, and it's just not going to happen. The scores are going to go ahead and be picked off. So that's the only duelist down for like the TSM already. A little bit lackluster in terms of resources still allocated for them. But I mean, honestly, they look to be pretty committed to the site. They want to go ahead and pick off Plaza. They know he's a pretty good fragger. He's at the top of the leaderboard for like Zero Marksman. So that's a full ult that you have off. That's a control you have off that makes all your sight lines a heck of a lot easier to execute on. You can see the rest of the team trying to go ahead and make a flank to some extent, find themselves on A through showers. This is where things are going to get a little bit trickery.
Been slow and steady for TSM. They're doing what I honestly I was sort of expected is just kind of wait for ZMM to overextend and play it passively, but ZMM, props to them, they have not done that. They've just kind of played passive, allowed for TSM to execute when they want to. Shock dart going out, and that does big damage onto two players. Is over the top. Now Waffle and Plaza involved. Two players alive for TSM. Now Rossi, Wardell, and they're just trying to make something work. Time not on their side. 32 HP to work with. And, well, not even a singular frag for Rossi to pick up on the back end there. Of course, it was a anti-eco round, so that's sort of what we expect from ZMM on a round like that. But could have seen the plant. Not going to happen. TSM, at least I think Wardell really thought that they were getting pushed out there. Unfortunately, that was not the case, but look at what I see. Do you see what I see, Mick? It's the tour de force, ready and waiting here for Wardell, and we'll see where he wants to set up with it. It looks like B-Long is going to be the area, and the same is said for ZMM, so tour de force aside, and as Torify picks his up as well.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the tour de force is going to be a huge contributing factor here for the likes of Wardell. Just going ahead, trying to find these free picks, trying to go ahead and push up towards the edge. You can already see him lining up towards this B-Long, trying to grab a free frag, but I think he's got to get a little bit more aggressive for it. He's got to go ahead and push through that nebula, and that's going to be a huge risk, especially when you get a recon dart behind you. So he's going to play it slow and steady once again, play around these rendezvous, go ahead and give a little bit of backup, but as Torify goes ahead and grabs a tiny little peek, we're going to have a tour de force lineup here, but one has a little bit more advantage. You can already see the recon dart, the owl drone coming out as well, only reading that one player, and Torify and Wardell, they were looking to fight this out. They really want to see who's the better chamber here.
Well, honestly, for the moment, it's just a matter of time. And look at that Nebula trying to bait just a little bit. Yeah, hey, Torify, don't worry. You can go over the other direction. But whilst that's happening, Rossi has found a double entry into the B site. And that has left this operator on an island with the tour de force. So Torify, when are you going to be moving forward? It's like the answer is now. Wardell has evacuated that position. He's going to be over in hookah. The spike gets planted. Is in a good post plant, but ZMM still have 3 players left alive, and 2 of those are operators.
Even you can already see, I mean, that kind of operator double initiative just really doesn't work out for me. Torify being the last man standing, also trying to find that first frag. He goes ahead and manages once. That's a good way to go ahead and start things, but you still got to grab yourself 3 more, buddy, and get yourself a defuse on top of it. And I can tell TSM are going to play this slow and steady, and even you don't have to, and Wardell finds that frag, giving TSM once again, finally getting around on the board after Zero Marksman has a very impressive showing thus far. I mean, already find themselves 4 rounds, going ahead, playing across the map, showing to go ahead and create a little bit more chaos just everywhere they can find, and really just forcing out this game, and even then already forcing out a timeout as well to back it up. So I think this is a pretty good adjustment here, pretty good investment, knowing that there's 5 rounds left in this half so far, and that they could go ahead and find themselves a little bit of momentum shift to keep this league going.
You know, I want to go back to that last round, talk about the op duel just for a second. So Torify really playing that super passively. Normally, you would see some sort of utility there to help bail him out, but nothing came through. And I don't know if that's just due to some fantastic patience. If so, you know, that's solid for Torify. But on the other side of things, that also could just be the Wardell effect. You know, when you're playing in a game like this and you're not used to the pressure of high impact of a high impact game, it can be hard to go for those shots. And ultimately, he just kind of gets weighted out for overall, whilst Rossi founds opening after opening on towards the B site. So ZMM, they need to get, I think, a little bit more dynamic in their plays. Their calls have been good, but if it's not working, change it.
Yeah, and even then, I feel like it was almost like a jump of faith there. I mean, sure, you're a little bit scared looking down the edge of the cliff, and you're trying to figure out whether or not you want to make that decision, whether or not you want to get there, and you really want to take that leap. But, I mean, honestly, we don't see Torify really prepared for that. Obviously, there is an intimidation factor in this game alone for the likes of Zero Marksman, knowing that they really haven't gone up against an opponent like this. I mean, there's a lot on the line here, and this is the first round, and it's a best of one. So, sure, there's a little bit of a double elimination, and you have yourself a little bit of leeway. But if you can go ahead and knock TSM down, and you can really go ahead and put that presence there, show that, oh my goodness, we beat TSM. We can now actually run away with this or have ourselves a little more of a shot. I mean, that's almost like a rally moment for your entire team. And you're just trying to look for those small victories that could add up over the course of the game. But if we're talking about the course of the game, we're right back into it. We see TSM try to go ahead and push themselves through this hookah area, try to find a little bit more influence on this B site thus far, knowing they're going to run into 2 players at least. But with that showstopper in hand, I'd like to see probably the investment of that to get a little bit more aggressive on them.
Certainly could be the case. Though, to be fair, ZMM, they have Showstopper in their tool belt as well. But just basic hookah control gained for the time being, TSM. Now, here comes that Showstopper we were just talking about. It's Corey out and over. Looking for something, but he ain't got nothing. Is the plant going to come in here? Actually, some nice damage by Waffle off that and onto the planter. The second dart missing a little bit, but now the Viper's Pit. That's the big commitment, and it's so difficult to find your way back in through these choke points when that has come down.
And even you got to look at the rest of the team of Zero Marksman already out there toward that elbow section. You have players on both sides of the Viper's Pit right now. They still have themselves a free break. But thing is, Rossi's already there with an exchange out of Plaza as well. So now it's a 2v2. You still have there in the back. Oh, never mind. Troll with the double kill and Torify with the single on the operator. That's going to go ahead and make Zero Marksman have themselves a pretty good round. Things are looking a little bit sketchy there with 2 ults already being invested, but with a miss of a frag on one, and when you just really don't find too much influence with that second one on the Viper's Pit, shows that Zero Marksman, they're here to play.
You know, I talked about the breach and how this is a very different looking composition than what we have seen TSM run before. Not only they're going to run some flashes, they've been typically going for the sky on this map, but also the lack of a Sova. You really struggle in the late round, I think, without having that. I mean, you know, it would have been nice to have that initial sonar, you know, to deny the retake, or even the owl drone to find some information late into that one. Don't think it was make or break, but it certainly didn't help out as the rebuy is here for TSM. ZMM continue to push up their lead now at 2.
And even then, once again, it's kind of that whole kind of chaos factor I mentioned earlier, where TSM just kind of usually has a tendency to collapse a little bit under that pressure, not really know what's going on, not really have the flicks necessary, and they would like to play off, you know, having these setups, having these preordained lineups where they can find themselves an advantage and get a couple guaranteed kills. So when that really just doesn't provide itself to come out into light, it creates a lot of problems. You can already see right there, being a little bit discombobulated towards that hookah area. You're already going to have Waffle popping that Hunter's Fury, trying to find a kill or at least a couple hits off it, and he does manage to, finding a hit onto Corey and onto Wardell. So that's going to go ahead and diminish the health pool a little bit. With no Sky here on the field this time around, you're going to be lacking that health for the rest of this round.
So on the surface, that might seem like a really dumb Hunter's Fury, but I actually think it's really kind of interesting because TSM have taken early hookah control basically every round for the last 3. And so utilizing that Hunter's Fury in order to gain information and deny that area of the map, hopefully, is the idea. And they did it relatively well. So ZMM, there's some thought behind some of these plays. This isn't just a team that can hit the shots, but they certainly do that well, as Torify is going to find the opening frag on towards Sabrosa. No more is the Astra.
No more is the Astra, and no more is the Wardell either, as you see that chamber fall as well. With only 13 seconds left, another exchange coming out there towards back B. I mean, you have almost no time left at all, and you can already see the plant trying to go down. Rossi trying to make it, but just can't have enough there, as it's now sitting at a 1v4. You see Corey trying to pick up the operator, make some plays, but instead, with 0 seconds remaining, you just got to save it, buddy. You know Wardell wants that for the next round. Might as well hand it over to him, because that's a pretty expensive weapon to give over.
That it is. Corey, though, I mean, I hate to be that guy. He's had a rough start to this game.
Agreed.
1-7 right now. I mean, and listen, to be fair, I mean, we know how good Corey is.
Exactly.
I've been watching that guy play for so long, I mean, even back to the Overwatch League. So definitely has the skill, just not able to put it into use thus far. And I think part of that has been that, you know, Corey does well whenever he's set up to take on aggressive duels and the like, but, well, ZMM haven't given that over, and TSM has just kind of been playing trade frags, which is great. It's all well and good, but it also makes it difficult to put your Raze in a good position to play aggressively. Plus, I mean, Raze on the attack can sometimes be difficult nonetheless.
And even then, we're not seeing very aggressive swings off their utility. I mean, it goes back to just so many scenarios that we can go, but there it is. Finally swinging off some utility, finally getting a little bit aggressive, creating that space on the map. Corey's going to find a classic kill there towards that U-Haul area and find a second off the Phantom that he's picked up and a third as well. So, I mean, finally going ahead, rallying that confidence, saying, look, we're going to get on this site, and we know we're going to get on this site. Going ahead, reinforcing the ideology with your teammates. Time in, time out. That'll get yourself a round win there. You can already see, I mean, a 4v1, sure, Torfy could possibly work something out with that HUD Hunter, but he's not going to really get overzealous for it. He's not going to try and clutch out anything in superiorly insane, but he just makes it work of what's really in front of him.
See, that's exactly what Corey's so good at, is that aggressive maneuvering. We've really not seen that from TSM yet this game.
Agreed, yeah.
Honestly, the first time I think we've seen a very early A or even B hit, it's been, you know, slow, methodical, Valorant up till this point. So that's exactly how you enable the likes of Corey. And there's Wardell. You put an op in his hand, and he's got 2 on the round as well. It's the thrifty for them is one op saved, 2 kills for Wardell, and you enable the likes of Corey. That's a winning strategy. 6-4 the score as we just get down to the wire of half number 1. ZMM in a good spot, though.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I mean, looking at them so far, I feel like TSM's giving them a little bit too much respect, honestly. They're playing this game slow and steady. They're looking for any kind of easy pick they can find. Problem is, they have to force these picks. ZMM is going to be the one who's respecting TSM. They're going to be playing back. They're going to be playing very passive. And when you go ahead and play that passive game, defense is going to have the setup. They're going to have the utility already there to find those free frags, so they're not going to go ahead and get overzealous. You're going to see ZMM sitting back and Torfy doing a great job of that thus far. Able to find so many kills with the operator, playing slow and steady, waiting for these angles to really just go ahead and expose themselves and find these free kills. As maybe as this kind of corner peek comes around, there you go. Some aggression finally makes his way into this game as he can find himself one, but the rest of the team is making an exchange on the side. You see old ZMM holding it down there in the back, but Corey has something to say about it. Now with a 3K, looking for himself 2 more, possibly 4 an ace in this round, but he's going to go ahead and back up his teammates who are now going for this plan.
Corey getting involved last round. He's heating it up this round. 3v2 as ZMM rotating themselves out or in. I honestly can't tell. They've moved their way into the spawn area, so I don't know if they're saving or if they're just waiting for the retake. I think at this point they got to save, though, and especially considering the Cosmic Divide gets committed and TSM, they confirm that round. It's going to be the last round of the half coming up, and I wonder what the money looks like here for ZMM. I don't know if it's perfect. Losing 2 out of the last 3 rounds definitely doesn't help, but these 2 rifles saved over is obviously going to be nice.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be enough at least to go ahead and fill up for 4 of their members. I don't know if there's going to be heavy shields, but everybody can definitely get a rifle in hand knowing the stance. I mean, you got to look at this money right quick, which is going to be coming up possibly on this scoreboard, and knowing it's the last round here, the half. I like the Cosmic Divide to go ahead and stall at that time, but as you can see it by everybody except for Torfy having a real gun in hand, you go ahead and compensate where you can. You sit there, see Waffle with the half shield, and that's not that big a deal. When he goes ahead, plays a little bit more lenient, plays more towards the back, just works off that utility with these recon darts, these owl drones. So long as you're a Sova, that's your biggest job, is finding the intelligence. You don't have to frag every single day of the week, but if you can go ahead and give your teammates the telling of what's going on and make yourself a factor in these fights, that's all they're asking for. So I like the buys here. I like the way they're playing this out in Torfy with the Torty Force. He's not even concerned about a weapon at all.
Wardell has the lineup, has the frag, Torfy out, and, well, now Wardell has the Tour de Force, needed, though. So he has the op already, but more aptly, TSM are ready with a Rolling Thunder. That could be the big piece of utility to come in. Big ultimate Electo lined up, and there's Hyun. Talked about him as one to watch out for. Has maybe had a bit of a quiet game. Haven't really seen his name all too often, but it's been a bit of a team effort for ZMM. And there goes that Rolling Thunder. It's going to actually find a huge amount of value, stalling out the players sitting inside of Shower. And that's actually 2 players of this ZMM retake. Troll coming in from the backside also has the Cosmic Divide, can split up the site. We'll see. that's enough. There goes that Cosmic Divide. Hunters, or excuse me, the Showstopper comes out after that, and Corey, once again, finding so much success that Paint Shell's putting pressure in towards Plaza, but he's going to survive.
And I love the even distribution of ultimates in this round alone, and even then combined with the likes of last round. You see TSM, everybody gets their fair turn. Wardell can play a little bit more passive if things really do start to go south, but he already had that operator in hand, so he wasn't really too concerned about it. Everybody just trying to bide that time. The Cosmic Divide was a little bit questionable at first for me, but I got to say it went ahead and created that intimidation factor to say, well, we got 4 players alive, and we have a complete setup on the site. And now we got a Cosmic Divide. You do not want to be touching this at all. Go ahead and save for next. And then even in this one, they said, all right, now we got the Rolling Thunder. That's going to be a free 2 kills pushing onto site. Find ourselves a free plan as well. And then just go ahead and hold things out because you were forced to respond to that stage and we already have the man advantage. So a great standing here from TSM, making in some light of the situation. Find themselves a 6-6 half. They're definitely looking a lot better now. And even then, I feel like their defense has been much, much better than their offense, especially considering that we sat there and mentioned Corey earlier, not really having those swings. He doesn't have to do that now. You just play it slow and steady. You let Wardell go off with that headhunter at least in this first round and see what kind of buys you can get for the next.
Yeah, speaking of TSM and how they tend to perform defensively, are certainly better on bind on the defense. Not by the largest of margins though. Here we go. As Torify has to go through the teleporter there to survive for a moment longer. The A push that was forthcoming is sort of dissipated for a moment. And I assume that's to allow for Torify to get back in and group back up with his teammates here for ZMM Silver. But Hyun, meanwhile, has found some opening frag, or an opening frag, excuse me, in towards Aleko. That's going to maybe create some space, create some ideas, and spam for Wardell. Good as the push comes forward. It's Corey and Wardell both to pick up secondary frags. And this is looking like it might be all TSM here for the pistol.
Yeah, most definitely could. I mean, already having themselves at a 4-2 standing, knowing that Spike is still going to be back towards a spawn, and we're not really going to see too much influence out of it. I mean, you got to see ZMM able to push up. They're going to find themselves pushing onto the site, and Troll able to find two. That's definitely a good way to open up the map a little bit and get yourself a Spike down. But do you have the follow-up there? Do you have Waffle with that crossfire? Well, he's looking to peek it, but he's got to swing, and he does find that kill. So with us at least knowing that on the opposite side of the field, we're going to see the old Sabrosa there. He's already waiting. He's already on the prowl and finding the kill as well, making it an outstanding pistol round here from TSM. A little bit scratchy there towards the middle, but nonetheless, you find the round, you get yourself some guns, so you're not worried about how scratched up you were.
Yeah, I was about to say, I got to take issue with that statement. Outstanding, not so much. I mean, they had it unlocked. They were right there. And I think that's sort of been a consistent factor for this game thus far, is TSM, they have it in their hands, and they're looking like they're going to be able to close things out, and then suddenly it gets a little bit scary. It gets a little bit close, and that's kind of continuing to happen. So we'll have to see if that is the case here for half number 2, but the pistol round certainly felt that way. It is going to be a full save by the looks of it, though, I think, from ZMM. I don't think they forced into this one.
I think it was just a great trade there from Troll, though. I mean, some great shots to follow up, and then you have the kind of crossfire from Waffle there. I mean, it was a most definitely good setup for ZMM, but the lack of Sabrosa influence there, not too many stars on site, I feel like that was kind of the biggest hindrance for them, not really having too much crowd control in that area. But that's all in the past now. TSM has found themselves around. They at least have the buys in this one, so it should look much better towards their favor, at least going into this round alone. So as they sit themselves at 7-6, they're playing it slow and steady. They know some players are around there towards Shower because they've heard all these kind of calls. They've heard the footsteps now, but they're not exactly sure how many. You know you've at least heard 2 footsteps, so you can make the call at least for one player to possibly rotate. And you can already see there towards the back, Rossi with that breach, trying to go ahead and see if he can get himself a lineup, give some assistance over towards there. Is just playing it. But Aleko already finds himself 2 here towards the same main area, so you're not really too concerned about kills, even then when you have Sabrosa for the backup.
Just a couple players left here for Zero Marksman. And Corey's going to close those down quick and simple. Number 8 for TSM. But here comes the big one, right? It's going to be the bonus, or at least I assume the bonus for TSM. I'm going to fully buy into this. But ZMM have the weaponry. It's this round and the next that really are impactful. If TSM could win a bonus round like this, obviously that would be huge. They could take off and pretty much run away with this game. But if ZMM kind of fight themselves back into this, I'm thinking we could be seeing another close half. It all just comes down to these 2 rounds.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it all comes down to how many weapons are ripped out of the likes of the ZMM players, though. I mean, you sit there, obviously know that the Econ's going to switch up. You're not going to have a streak anymore. And Torify already finding work out of Corey there off the get-go. you find a little bit of aggression. I said a little bit of aggression on the defensive side goes a long way. Not overwhelmingly pushing yourself into the spawn and finding yourself a free kill for the likes of ZMM. So Shirl's in it 1-for-1 on each side, and that's already one weapon ripped out, and possibly that TSM could go ahead and pick up, though they want to get over aggressive and see if they can pick up that gun. But I mean, right now they just got to play it slow and steady. They want to go ahead, make sure with that gun in hand now, they just want to go ahead, hold out these sides, play it where they can, find what angles they can hold, and go ahead and get a read of where these players are going. And we at least know the benefit of the doubt that they're going to be pushing this A site, and you can already see Sabrosa being set up for it, placing the stars to prepare as well.
Yeah, but he's a little late to that party. Plaza, Torify, both with big entries. Here's Rossi set up here in lamps, and it's not good enough. Torify with a big triple kill has found literally everything necessary in order to convert ZMM into this round. It's Wardell who recovered that Vandal early on off the pick. Now 1v4, needs an ace, I think, to get this moving. In fact, it's already been found out, spotted out by the takedown. As now push comes through, Waffle good for it over the top. It's a nice angle as well. 4 players survive, and you asked, okay, how many players are going to survive? That's going to depend, or that's going to define what your thoughts are into the coming round. Well, 4 players surviving, that's huge.
The most definitely is, and it's also very, very problematic if you're TSM Vin right now. I mean, you're going ahead, you're looking at the way the standing of the game's going. Econ is flipping now, and you definitely have ZMM grabbing themselves another round, and they don't have to invest any money into it. Look how they still have themselves $2,000. That's another buy if they do end up losing this round, and it switches once again. I mean, TSM also investing even more. They are doubling down in this round to say, look, we're going to go ahead and flip this around once more, and even on that, we're going to go for an operator and see if we can get some more money invested in this round, as Wardell already takes a lot of shots there on the outside, barely has enough health to really win himself into a fight, but he has an operator, so you play it slow and steady. But I mean, you got to sit there and look at the way they're set up across the map right now. I mean, ZMM is just kind of a little bit scared, but I don't blame them. When they see the kind of buys, the kind of money that's been invested so far, and all the shots they've heard, they know what they're up against, and they want to sit there and be very precautious when making this next decision.
Already tagged down just a little bit is Wardell. But yeah, this is a hugely impactful round for a big reason, of course. ZMM keeping the money alive and shutting it down for TSM. Push it onto the site. ZMM have the site control, at least on the front side, as the Nebulas fall away. Torify is dispatched with Aleko and Sabrosa down as well. That's a heavy hitter taken out in the early stages of the retake. Now it's 3-on-5. Tour de Force is available, but I think it's necessary. Torify is no longer for the world as he's been dispatched. 4 players down for ZMM, but they are spread so thin. The spike's been ticking for a while. Now these paint shells are going to push back at least one of those players, but Corey doesn't actually take advantage. He is getting the headshot, though, looking for more trike for the shots in the air. That was a little bit on the ambitious side, but nonetheless, ZMM Silver, they've tied the game right back up, and I am absolutely flabbergasted, Mick, that this is any sort of game at all. How is it tied 8-8? Well, what has TSM been doing that allows this to happen?
I think once again, it's just kind of a lack, just too much respect here, and it's a lack of aggression. They don't find themselves fighting for sites a little bit too much. You saw Corey be kind of there on the rear end when trying to find himself get back for that retake, and when he doesn't create that space for his team, it makes it extremely hard. Will Ardell usually plays in kind of that area, and even then, usually have Sabrosa also playing an initiator every now and then, and with those two players not kind of playing that duo role, pushing themselves onto his side, you have no space to breathe. You can't play the game. You can't play for a retake either. It's almost like you're right back into those attacking shoes where we felt they were playing a little bit lackluster. So as this round does pan out once again, and we see ZMM look outstanding so far in this tie scenario, it all comes down to whether or not we can see where to go off with that operator, that Tour de Force, excuse me, being that's kind of the only weaponry that they have that could actually make a huge impact here in this round.
I mean, you know, this is an old Wardell, but I mean, he can definitely win a round for them. And he's going to get an opportunity to take a shot. No! Wardell caught sleeping at the wheel! Oh, no! Why is that from Torify? Blind and just no-scoping out. ZMM Silver can't miss this round. TSM have fallen apart, and there's only 2 players left alive here for this to be brought back. I just don't think it's plausible.
Torfy is making a statement alone in this one game, and I am just flabbergasted by it, as you mentioned earlier. The guy is looking outstanding, and it's almost making a chamber diff across the map. That's probably the one of the biggest differentials we could see so far. I mean, the guy is literally playing chamber like a duelist, and that's what Wardell's trying to really accomplish here. As you can see him grab another one towards the edge, pick off Sabrosa. Aleko trying to come up here through this spawn. He doesn't have enough time to make an impact here. He's just going to run in, try to die, and see what kills he can take out with them. But knowing that there are so many players still alive, ZMM is set up for a flawless, and I don't think they're really concerned about it. I mean, Huge trying to make his way out right now, trying to go ahead and get out alive, and he most definitely will. That is a huge round here for ZMM, and they are looking so good going into this night.
I mean, let me caveat everything right there by saying TSM didn't have the greatest of purchase, but what do you mean?
I mean, you can't beat that.
That was nasty work. But like I was saying, TSM didn't have the weapons, you know. I mean, yes, we did have the tour de force there for Wardell, but that was the only real big gun that was available. Now, Vandal Phantoms across the board here for TSM as they are down for what, I mean, feels like the first time in a hot minute, basically since the early stages of the first half.
So, I mean, we sit there, see a Viper's pick going down on Beast. So that's a great start here for TSM, a great way to make a hold, knowing that they have the rifles in hand now. They want to have themselves a flawless execution of this round to kind of answer the last round that didn't really go towards their favor. But, I mean, looking at the thing so far, ZMM has themselves 3 ultimates right now. They have to use this sparingly, but almost as equally aggressive. You can already see the Hunter's Fury trying to come out, and Corey saying, you know what, I'll go and trade that out, and Torfy does as well with the Operator. So a great shot there from Hune, and Hune trying to go ahead on this edge as well, trying to find a kill with the showstopper of his own. But, I mean, everybody pushing onto this A site. Rossi making work of everybody left and right, able to find so many kills here on the board, and Wardell for the backup. But no one trolls me the last man alive. He's saying, oh, man, I got to spike. I got to get it down, and that's just not going to happen as TSM does make themselves an answer. Once again, tying up this game. 2 ultimates in that last round for ZMN to be invested in. It just didn't feel all that influential.
But a big round to win, no doubt, for TSM. And with that being said, they interrupt the 3-round win streak that ZMM put together. It is another buy round, though, for this attack side. ZMM do what they can. Operator is still here for Torfy as well. And we'll see if Wardell, I assume he's not going to have the cash to get an Operator out, but maybe close. Either way, take a look at the ultimates available. That Rolling Thunder could really deny any sort of aggressive push that ZMM wanted to put together. The Cosmic Divide, of course, good for a whole lot. Depends on the timing. But Shower Control is the first order of business for this one. By the looks of it, Torfy kind of go aggressive through that Snake Bite and can't quite hit the shot. A nicely placed Gravity Well is going to make that difficult.
Most definitely will. And even then, I mean, what's going to be even more difficult is now the push. You sit there, you lose the likes of Torfy, who's had an outstanding game thus far. But Waffles here for the backup can find himself one towards those showers as you still see some presence there from the likes of ZMM. They're trying to make this approach, and even then I felt this could be almost the time to be popping that Cosmic Divide, but I can't blame them for not making that investment just yet. Still going ahead, trying to get a read of the map, see where all these players are allocated, and you still know the defaults here for TSM. They're going ahead, have a 2-2 split. They're playing it slow and steady. They're getting whatever kills they can with Wardell, finding a little bit of aggression with that Operator. This is where the guy really starts to feel at home. It's almost a home field advantage when he has that op in hand, and you just play it, play an angle, find the kill, and then find yourself around. But you already see the approach coming in. Sabrosa finding 2 on top of those vulnerable players, showing that that's where they are. They're going to push off there, see if you can grab yourself a free kill. And as the sun comes out as well, everybody trying to push themselves back onto the site for a 3v2. Wardell's going to be a little bit blindsided really on the presence of these players.
3v3 time not on the side of Plaza. Does have the pit to work with, but swinging out into all 3 TSM members is just unfortunate. Double digits confirmed here for TSM. And I think that the ZMM side is starting to get lower on cash now. Do have some money to buy something here, but I don't think it's going to be a full buy. You can see 2,600 there for Hyun and similar. Here we go. Take a look at this one more time. This is crucial for Sabrosa.
Yep.
Getting those kills. 2 for the price of 1. And 10-9, of course, that score line. Wardell back on the Operator. And ZMM back down to a half purchase. Not going to have everything they can work with. And, well, I'd like to see them maybe pick up the pace a little bit, but that's obviously a dangerous thing to do as is.
Yeah, and even then, that was a massive swing round and going into the likes of TSM. You can already see them capitalizing on it, finding that double-digit threshold, getting themselves the 10, and also find themselves at an advantage when it comes around to the economy. You'd find an answer there towards Hookah, but it's not really going to be enough. You've made an even exchange. You still got to push onto his site, and we haven't seen that yet. But Waffle, with that Sheriff, to find one of his own towards that B long, and that's a great shot out of him. A little bit of a long lineup there that usually wouldn't be favored for the Sheriff against an operator, but still makes it work nonetheless. So you can see ZMM, they're making an answer saying, do we want to push B? Do we want to go ahead and wrap around through market and go right back to the A area? Well, go ahead and pick up the rifle first and then make that decision, because now you have a much better shot of winning out this round.
4v4. Well, quickly changed into an advantage, or excuse me, 3v3 now. I misread. Rossi going to be able to the one to pick up that frag. Still got the Rolling Thunder ready to go. I don't know if you want to utilize that in this round. Spike in the hands of Waffle, who is going to throw that recon bolt over here onto the site. Here we go. It is going to be the Rolling Thunder, spotting out the one. Rossi getting damaged and ultimately going to go down to the snake bite, put out onto the site. ZMM on a half-buy round, still looking very strong. 15 seconds to work with. Waffle. He's going to get the spike planted, but miles of time before come around the corner. Plaza is untouched. Oh my goodness. The double kill, 3 in the round there for Plaza. And he is dominating, getting that huge win for ZMM. This is an eco.
Yeah. I think we were all well aware of that one, Ben, and that's a big problem for like the TSM. I mean, even then, the one big problem right there was Aleko didn't see that barrel pop out the left side of his screen. We could see it, but he was very, very tunnel vision on that spike, making it sure that you can just get that fast defuse. But I'm not really sure what the plan was there. You're not really worried about the defuse at that stage. Play it slow and steady. If the spike goes down, sure, you get the denial right off the get-go, but you're still risking a lot just kind of all nilly-willy running in there. So that's a big problem. That's going to cause a timeout to come out as well for the likes of TSM, saying, look, we sat there, hit 10 first, and we were looking at almost a guaranteed round to hit that 9-11, but now things are looking a lot different for us.
I mean, just the fact that ZMM have forced TSM into a timeout. I mean,
yeah.
You know, you can argue, you know, nobody forces anyone into a timeout, but TSM are thinking about this. They have a lot of questions to ask, and they're trying to wonder, okay, what do we do? How do we adjust? This is a group stage game. It's the first round here, and they're struggling against a team that, I mean, I set it up at the very beginning. Hyun really is the go-to player that I actually know on this roster for ZMM Silver. Everyone else, I mean, I maybe seen them once or twice in Tier 3, but it certainly hasn't been with any sort of consistency. And I'll be completely honest, Torify's had a fantastic game, and I've never seen him play before.
Well, you've definitely seen him play today, because he's coming out and he's making this statement. He's already showing you why you should be watching him a little bit more, and I think we're going to see some more of the course of this tournament they find themselves carrying on. But even then, regardless of where they go, they're going to find themselves onto a site right now. So going ahead, pushing themselves up to this B side, trying to go down to that side a little bit more. It's going to be a little bit of a lackluster attempt. They're going ahead, trying to play this game out a little bit more, knowing that TSM has just had a little bit of communication with their coach saying, look, we just sit there and push up a lot of these ZMM guys. Who are they and how did we get here? That's a big question they're probably asking first to figure out what exactly is going on. And knowing that Waffle grabs the first frag of the round as well, that's going to be a huge swing right there. You already get the read for Rossi. You wait for Torify to be here on the edge, find that kill. That's an insane setup. I mean, you just can't read something like that without your Sova going ahead and give it a little bit more intel. And TSM doesn't have that. It's a lot of lack of information that they just can't play with, and they just get aggressively swing, and they just find themselves falling 6 feet under as well. So a great standing here for ZMM in this round, already having themselves a 2-man advantage. This definitely sets them up to go ahead and push a site or a free rotate. But you know what, Saprosa? You know what? You've caught my attention. A double kill on the collateral. I mean, that's something you cannot ignore, and that alone will go ahead and tie this game up once again.
I mean, the Saprosa difference is a real thing.
It definitely
at
is.
times, and that is certainly one of them. 3v3 now. As ZMM walk your way in towards this A side. Now, you're going to be able to find it. What a find there by Plaza. Dispatching with the opposition Viper quickly and easily. Does leave us in the 2v2. It's going to be Corey coming around the corner, playing in towards the CT angle, and it's a late rotation from Saprosa as well. And that might buy a lot of time for this just to be a ZMM round. And giving away number 11, that's pretty rough, but maybe what's happening. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be the save. TSM not going to go for it. And I mean, I don't blame them. I understand. They took a while to get into position, and it would be far better to have guns into the coming round. They can bolster the purchase. They can make sure everyone has weaponry, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
Wow, this is looking extremely good. And even then, I mean, we could have had some kind of a setup towards that hookah area, knowing that, I mean, ZMM was going to flush out and through that TP. But we don't see the setup. Obviously, you want to say those rifles. You just don't want to risk anything, knowing that ZMM's now sitting themselves at 11. So once you get to this 10-10 threshold, we've seen a lot of competitive games, a lot of high-tier games. I would say the most common stat line we see in terms of scores can be 11-13. Well, when you're going ahead and hitting 11 before 10, that's going to be a big problem here for TSM, and they really got to step things up. The only ultimate they have in hand right now is going to be that Cosmic Divide, and even then, Wardell being one orb off from grabbing that Torty Force, I think that's going to be their big influence play right now, is to go ahead and grab that quickly as possible, see if he can set up for that and grab a couple kills, as we would have 3 operators on TSM at that point. So, I mean, I get it. Saprosa had some clips here. Wardell's had some times as well, but 3?
Yeah, the patented triple op CT here. Well, yeah, I mean, the patented triple op defense for TSM, I don't know if that's a realistic situation, but it certainly has come out. And the first of those gone down, we just saw Saprosa losing out. I mean, the hard thing about having so many operators is you have to retake. Oh, what?
Okay.
Oh, the smoke, the nebula.
Come on.
He just read the shots as they came through, and Torify's looking for more. Give him the opportunity, and he'll take it away. That is a nice timing there from Aleko to push through the nebula, find the times, and find the frags. Going to recover one more of those operators. So 2 out of 3 players here for TSM have ops in their hand. But well, that's going to really be the turning point or winning strategy, as down by 1. Torty Force still engaged, and yeah, Corey's gonna take the swap over to the rifle. This is a lot better, a little bit smarter. But Wardell swinging, unable to win that duel in towards Waffle. Corey is good for the trade there in the late round, and 2v3. Corey missing in the blast pack. Control has the victory, and it's
no way, dude.
Saving again. And 12 for Zero Marksman. They've already beat one T1 org in T1, and now they're looking to do it again.
Oh man, this is where things get a little bit spicy, I gotta say. I mean, honestly, TSM, we saw so much money invested in that double operator, and they both fell instantaneously. And I think it's going to be a big call they're kind of thinking on later, to say, why did we spend that much money if we could have allocated that amongst all of us, and we could have all found ourselves at least a gun or a rifle with at least half shields? But that's all in the past right now. They got to worry about the present, and they got to figure out what exactly they're going to do to get themselves back into this game, because you see a very scrappy buy from TSM, and this is match point for ZMM. So a lot is on the line here. Sure, there's a secondary bracket to go through. There's an elimination, but you don't want to get there. You want to win this if you're TSM. And Torify's already going to make a statement. Find that first frag and make it that much harder.
Torify doubling down. He's got the secondary shot. Flashpoint going to come in, allow for Rossi to reposition for a moment. And in fact, that fault line going to make it life hard for Torify. And he's going to have to stick where he's at, as Rossi does get away with his life. Rossi and Wardell surviving, but there's just a singular player. That's Aleko on the site. And well, it's really not had the greatest of times. You know, watched this guy for a long time, had so much success, but this has not been the game for him. ZMM Silver rotating their way back out was a momentary lapse, and actually they've caught some rotation. If they find a timing here, TSM can only have a singular player at the A site.
And it's going to be Wardell. They're already set up with an operator, so he can't find himself really too many kind of back-to-back kills, which can be a problem if he's running into 4 players all backing themselves up, rushing onto his side. You can already see he's found the angle, but he doesn't have a rendezvous there set up underneath him, so that's going to be a big problem because he doesn't have those free escapes. That's a big problem I've seen out of him so far, at least when it comes around to Chamber, but you can already see the aggression pushing through. You can see all these players flushing on the side. You'd already making his way into the back line, setting up for a spawn play, so maybe he can find a massive 1 or 2 kills here to go ahead and create some space, create a little bit of confusion equation there as he does find one. Make sure to play a little bit more passive with that spike down. He's trying to bide the time as much as possible, knowing his teammates are there towards the back. You got Torify with the 24 still in hand, but Wardell finds himself one. You see the Aftershock trying to come through, and Rossi with one as well. So now 2v2, spike is down, slow and steady, baby. Let that timer tick down if you're it. But here comes the Rolling Thunder, and the TSM players just want to back it up. But Torify finds himself one. You see the cross, you see Rossi trying to make plays. 3 kills for both of these players. Who's going to find the 4th? Who's going to find that match point? Who's going to find the round? And it's ZMM coming out on top, making an introduction here in the YFP.
What a showing here from Zero Marksman Silver. They pull it off. It seems like a lifetime ago here that Sabrosa kind of pulled TSM back into that first half. It was not enough. Can't believe it, but TSM, they are gone initially here in the first series. Now, like you said, it is double elimination, so it's not like it's over, but it is best of ones. So TSM playing for their tournament life in this series already. Can't not just overcome though by just Plaza, Torify. Those two names, they played so well, and you got to think so many rounds that they individually kind of pulled back. Torify in particular gets the quad there on that final frag. Absolutely mind-boggling.
I mean, just the way they played out this entire map was just incredible from start to finish. They were keeping themselves relevant whenever it needed to matter the most. They sat there. Sometimes they would grab themselves a lead as well, constantly keeping that pressure onto the field. I mean, just overall, the kind of intimidation factor they had, there was so much respect between these two opponents, oddly enough, even though we expected TSM to really be swinging when they came into this matchup. So ZMM coming out on top, it was almost that lack of respect that we just didn't see that really set the tone here for TSM to play things slow, play things steady. So when they were in the attacking side, they didn't find as many rounds as they really needed to, and that just set up the likes of ZMM to just go ahead and say, look, if we know that we're running away with this, Torify, I mean, we sit there and make jokes about, you know, what kind of rounds you want to load into your magazine. Torify almost had magnetic rounds in his gun. It looked like, I mean, with the no scopes, the way he was going ahead shooting through smokes, the guy almost had the awareness of the map to know exactly where these players were probably going to be standing. I mean, he sat there, took the shot, and he'd make it every single time. It's almost like he had aim assist on keyboard and mouse. I don't know how it's possible, but he makes it look possible, and just stuff like that is something you can't ignore.
He did make it look easy. I won't disagree with that. I also think that we saw, you know, an interesting idea with the breach coming through.
Yeah.
That's just not what this TSM team normally plays. It could have been that they were trying to experiment a little bit with it because they thought this was going to be an easier game. Well, I got news. ZMM, they clearly were showing that it is not that simple. But on the other side of things, I do think that there was part of Corey had a very slow start to this game. Really came back. I mean, he ended it with an even KD with 16-5. So I don't think that that's like the reason that this was a loss or anything, but it definitely didn't help out. So all of those things coming together, and I mean, I guess I can't leave it be either. I mean, Aleka or Leviathan, I just feel like had a bit of a slow one as well. So all of those things kind of coming together to make what is an insane win for ZMM. Big congrats to them. You got to give them credit. But with that being said, that's just the first matchup. We got so much more to come. But before we get to that, I do want to say a huge shout out to the entire YFP team. This is just the beginning of the YFP events. We've been overwhelmed with all the support here for the Wintrer Classic, and it's thanks to all the amazing sponsors and the YFP team that helped put it together, which was absolutely brilliant. And speaking of one of those sponsors that helped put this together, Metafy.gg. They're an online platform that allows players to learn from and play with some of the best players around the world. And you can get one-on-one private coaching sessions with elite coaches, some of which are even playing today. And I mean, just head over there. They have pretty much any game that you could be looking for. But we're talking Valorant, so definitely look over there. You know, you need some help in your matchmaking games. You want to do a little bit better, or even join a team. Well, Metafy.gg might be for you. And in fact, you can use the code YFP25 for a 25% discount on your first session at Metafy.gg. Make sure to check them out and use that code YFP25 for 25% off as well, Mick.
And even then, I mean, if y'all sit and want to talk, I have all these coaching sessions and the way you want to get yourself game a little bit elevated. You can go ahead and also check out Swipe mouse pads. They have themselves so many different kind of mouse pads to be dealing with. obviously they want to mix, fun and performance a little bit with each other, so they have plenty of colorways to go ahead and match your setup as much as possible, because we all know how much we care about our setups and having a matching color scheme at the end of the day. And even then, some of the top pros use them as well. I mean, I know that CryoCell also uses these swipe mouse pads, so go ahead and give them a check out as well. But with all that being said and done, we sat there, mentioned and alluded to a couple matchups coming up here soon, because we got plenty more matches to go across the day. Even on the GLG stream that we mentioned earlier, there's a secondary stream going on as well, so you never know if another match is going to be going on. Go ahead, keep 2 tabs, keep up, and go ahead and watch both while you can. But everything being said and done, we will be throwing it to a short little break, going ahead and setting up this next matchup and getting ready for what we got for the rest of the day. So we'll catch you here in a little bit, and we'll throw it to a short little break.